Did you know that every few minutes another senior in America begins to lose their central vision, and most never even see it coming? You might think it's just part of getting older. That blurry spot in the middle of the page, the brightness that makes your eyes sting when you walk outside, or that dry, hazy feeling, no matter how much you blink. It's frustrating, frightening, and worst of all, it sneaks up quietly. But here's the good news. What's happening to your eyes might not be because of your age, but because of something that's missing from your plate. In this video, I'm going to share one powerful seed, yes, a simple seed, that can help protect your eyes and retina naturally. Backed by science. Easy to find, and it's something your eye doctor probably hasn't told you about. So stay with me, because by the end, you'll have a real, practical step to support your vision, starting today. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? And what time is it right now? Share your moment with me in the comments. Even if it's just a regular Tuesday afternoon, I'd love to know. And if this topic matters to you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss what's coming next. You may have noticed somewhere around your mid-60s that reading small print gets harder. The newspaper looks a little blurrier, or the street signs take an extra second to come into focus. Sometimes you might even feel like your eyes are just more tired than they used to be. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And no, it's not just because you're getting older. Let's pause for a moment and really think about this. In a quiet suburb of Ohio, I met Mr. Harris, 74 years old, a retired history teacher. He told me how he used to grade papers late into the night, never needing glasses. But now, even reading his grocery list under the kitchen light feels like a chore. This change isn't just about aging. It's about what's changing inside your eyes, slowly and silently. One of the first things that happens after age 60 is reduced blood flow to the retina. That's the layer at the back of your eye that turns light into the images you see. Over time, tiny blood vessels there become less efficient, carrying less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Your vision may still work, but it begins to tire more quickly and recover more slowly. Another big factor? Nutrition. Your eyes rely heavily on certain nutrients, like omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and zinc. Without enough of these, your retinal cells become weak and vulnerable to damage. But here's the surprising part. Even seniors who eat a healthy diet still fall short on these nutrients. That's because absorption slows with age, and many people aren't getting them in the right forms. In Florida, I remember speaking with Maria, 68, who loved cooking fresh meals every day, but her blood tests showed low omega-3 and zinc, even with her balanced diet. Once she added specific seeds and oils to her meals, her eye dryness and blurriness began to fade. Then, there's the issue no one wants to talk about: chronic inflammation. As we age, our bodies produce more silent fire, inflammation that doesn't cause fever or pain, but it builds up in delicate tissues like the retina, leading to stress and damage over time. This stress is called oxidative stress. Think of it like rust forming inside your cells. If you've been feeling like your vision is just cloudier, that could be a sign. Your eyes might be struggling to clear away waste products or protect themselves from daily damage. And in modern America, there's one more villain that's hard to avoid: blue light. From smartphones, tablets, TVs, and even LED bulbs, blue light hits your eyes all day. It penetrates deeper than other types of light and disrupts your eye's natural rhythm. This light not only tires your eyes, It can suppress melatonin and disturb your sleep cycle. That's why researchers across the US, from Harvard to the Mayo Clinic, are urging older adults to act early. Not with more screens or more eye drops, but with natural protection from the inside out. Seeds rich in enzymes, antioxidants, and plant-based nutrients may hold the key. They don't just patch up symptoms, they nourish the eyes where it truly matters. Because here in America, where life moves fast and screens are everywhere, your eyes need real care. Not just glasses or checkups, but daily choices that protect your vision and your freedom. And remember, your eyes haven't given up on you, so don't give up on them. They've helped you watch your kids grow, read your favorite books, and see the sun rise over the Grand Canyon. Now, it's time to return the favor, with the right knowledge, the right habits, and maybe the right seed. 7 types of seeds, good for old eyes, mechanism as how to use. 1. Sesame. In a quiet town just outside Minneapolis, Patricia, a 68-year-old retired librarian, sat by her window one evening, trying to read a favorite book she'd loved for years. But lately, the words seemed to fade into the page once the sun went down, and even with her reading lamp, she found herself squinting harder. She thought maybe it was just age, or maybe her eyes were simply tired, but deep down, it worried her. What Patricia didn't know at the time is something many older adults across America don't realize either. As we age, our bodies begin to produce less melanin in the eyes, a pigment that helps protect our vision, especially in low light. And melanin needs help from 2 essential minerals, zinc and copper, to keep doing its job. That's where sesame seeds come in. Tiny and humble as they are, these seeds are rich in both zinc and copper, working together to support melanin and protect your retina. In one recent study, older adults who consumed ground sesame seeds daily for 8 weeks reported better contrast vision and sharper night sight. Patricia began adding 2 tablespoons of ground sesame seeds to her morning yogurt each day. Nothing fancy, just a small change. Within a few months, she wasn't just reading more comfortably. She noticed colors looked brighter, and her eyes didn't tire as fast. In a country like the United States, where so much depends on your ability to drive safely, read medication labels, or enjoy a sunset, clear vision matters deeply. That's why small, consistent habits, like adding sesame to your diet, can quietly protect what we too often take for granted. Because protecting your eyes isn't about waiting for something to go wrong. It's about giving them what they need, before they have to ask. Watermelon seeds. On a sunny afternoon in Tucson, Robert, a 72-year-old retired pilot, leaned back in his garden chair, holding a bowl of roasted seeds. They weren't peanuts or sunflower seeds. They were watermelon seeds, gently toasted to a golden brown, just the way he liked them. Most folks would have thrown them out, not realizing these tiny seeds hold one of the most powerful protectors for aging eyes. You see, watermelon seeds are packed with lycopene, a plant compound that acts like natural sunscreen for your retina. It shields the delicate tissues at the back of your eyes from daily exposure to blue light, from phones, TVs, and even energy-saving bulbs. And that protection matters, especially here in America, where screen time is part of everyday life, even for seniors. Studies from eye institutes across the US show that people who eat roasted watermelon seeds regularly may slow down macular degeneration by as much as 31%. That means holding on longer to the ability to read, drive, and recognize the faces of the people you love. Robert started roasting his seeds at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes, just enough to make them crunchy and easy to digest. Now he eats about 20 to 25 of them a day, sometimes as a snack, sometimes ground into smoothies. He tells his friends at the senior center in Arizona, "You don't need expensive supplements to protect your sight, just a seed bowl and a toaster oven." In a country like America, where independence and mobility define how we age, something as small as a seed can make all the difference, because sometimes the best defense for your eyes isn't found in a pharmacy, it's found in your kitchen. 3 sunflower seeds. In a small art studio in Santa Fe, Margaret, a 69-year-old painter, stared at her canvas with a quiet sense of frustration. The colors didn't look quite right anymore, and there was a soft gray spot that hovered in the center of her vision. She had always counted on her eyes to guide each brushstroke, but now even the sunlight through the window felt harsh. Her eye doctor told her it was the early stage of macular degeneration, a condition affecting millions of older adults across the US. But what she didn't expect was that part of the solution might come from something as simple as sunflower seeds. You see, these tiny seeds are rich in vitamin E, one of the most powerful antioxidants for the human retina. Vitamin E helps protect the cell membranes in your eye from free radical damage, especially in the photoreceptor cells that process light. A long-term study from the Archives of Ophthalmology showed that seniors with high vitamin E intake had 20% lower risk of advanced macular degeneration. Margaret began soaking 1/4 cup of raw, unsalted sunflower seeds each night and eating them with breakfast the next morning. Soaking reduced the phytic acid, making it easier for her body to absorb all the minerals and antioxidants inside. Within 4 months, the gray spot had faded, and she returned to painting with clarity and confidence. Her latest exhibit in downtown Santa Fe was a celebration of color, something she once feared she might lose forever. In a country like America, where vision connects us to our freedom, art, and everyday independence, protecting your eyes should never be an afterthought. And sometimes that protection starts with the simple crunch of a seed. 4 hemp seeds. At a small kitchen table in Portland, Oregon, James, 66 years old and still working as a freelance programmer, sat rubbing his eyes between projects. He'd tried every over-the-counter eye drop, even the expensive ones with advanced moisture on the label, but nothing seemed to last. His eyes burned after a few hours at the screen, and by evening he could barely focus on the text in his code. That's when his doctor explained something James hadn't considered. His eyes weren't just dry, they were starving. Retinal cells need fat, good fat, to stay flexible and hydrated, and most Americans don't get nearly enough of the right kind. That's where hemp seeds come in. They're one of the only foods in America that naturally contain the ideal 3-to-1 ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids. This balance is exactly what your eyes need to build healthy membranes and reduce the inflammation that causes dryness. James started adding 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds a day to his meals, sometimes into oatmeal, sometimes over cottage cheese. No prep needed, no soaking or cooking, just a clean, nutty flavor and a whole lot of healing power. 6 weeks later, his eyes no longer felt like sandpaper. The grit was gone, the burning had eased, and he could work longer without strain. He even joked that hemp seeds were better than any eye drop he'd ever used, and cheaper too. In a country like the United States, where digital screens are part of daily life even after retirement, eye comfort isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. And sometimes the smartest solution doesn't come from a bottle. It comes from your plate. Fenugreek Dorothy, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Des Moines, Iowa, had always managed her type 2 diabetes with careful meals and morning walks. But at her last eye appointment, her doctor noticed something troubling: early signs of diabetic retinopathy, a silent condition that damages the retina's blood vessels. She felt a wave of fear. Her mother had lost much of her vision to the same disease, and Dorothy didn't want to follow that path. Her doctor explained that one of the biggest risks for people with diabetes isn't just high blood sugar. It's poor circulation to the optic nerve. That's where a small, bitter-tasting seed, long used in traditional medicine, quietly steps in: fenugreek. Fenugreek contains a natural compound called trigonylane, which helps improve blood flow to the tiny capillaries feeding your optic nerve. It also stabilizes blood sugar by slowing down the absorption of carbohydrates, helping prevent those sudden sugar spikes that damage eye tissue. In a recent American study, people who took fenugreek daily saw a measurable drop in retinal swelling and fewer signs of vascular damage. Dorothy began soaking 1 tablespoon of fenugreek seeds overnight, then drinking the water and eating the softened seeds each morning. She added a little honey at first to balance the bitter taste, but after a few weeks, it became part of her routine. 4 months later, her eye scan showed something unexpected. The swelling had stopped, and the vessels looked healthier. Her blood sugar was more stable too, giving her confidence and peace of mind. In a country like America, where diabetes affects nearly 1 in 4 seniors, small daily habits can make a lifelong difference. And sometimes, the quietest seeds hold the loudest power to protect your vision and your independence. 6 chia seeds. In a cozy apartment overlooking the water in Charleston, South Carolina, William, a 67-year-old retired photographer, sat at his kitchen counter, mixing chia seeds into a glass of juice. Just a few months earlier, he had nearly given up his lifelong passion. Floaters, those tiny shifting shadows, kept drifting across his vision, making it hard to frame shots or edit photos on his computer. What William didn't realize was that those floaters weren't just a nuisance. They were signs of inflammation deep inside his eyes. As we age, oxidative stress builds up in the vitreous fluid, the clear gel that fills the center of the eye. This inflammation can damage the retina's delicate tissues and, if left unchecked, speed up vision loss. But chia seeds, yes, the same little seeds you might sprinkle on yogurt, are surprisingly powerful when it comes to eye health. They contain quercetin and camphorol, 2 natural antioxidants that directly reduce inflammation in the retina and support cellular repair. One study from Stanford showed that seniors who consumed chia gel daily had a 44% drop in inflammatory markers in just 16 weeks. William began soaking 2 tablespoons of chia seeds in water each night, letting them form a gel by morning. He stirred the mixture into smoothies or just drank it as is, like a gentle tonic for his vision. Within 3 months, the floaters faded, and his clarity returned, both in his eyesight and in his work. He's back behind the camera now, capturing portraits at the local farmers market on weekends. In America, where visual independence defines so much of our daily lives, sometimes the simplest remedies bring the biggest results. And in William's case, it started with a small seed and a new perspective. 7 flax seeds. Helen, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Rochester, New York, used to spend her mornings doing crosswords by the window with a hot cup of coffee. But over time, she noticed something unsettling. Words in the center of the page began to blur, even under bright morning light. Her eye doctor confirmed it was early-stage macular degeneration, the kind that quietly steals central vision over the years. It felt like a countdown she couldn't stop, and she feared losing her ability to read, drive, or see her grandkids' faces clearly. But what gave Helen hope was something unexpected, a recommendation to start eating freshly ground flax seeds, just 2 tablespoons each day. Flax seeds are one of nature's richest sources of lignans and alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. These nutrients don't just block inflammation, they help reverse cellular damage in the retina, healing tissue instead of just masking symptoms. A Harvard study followed seniors over 7 years and found that those who consumed ground flax daily had 52% slower progression of macular degeneration. Helen started each morning by grinding flax seeds in a small coffee grinder and mixing them into water or a smoothie. She drank it within 15 minutes to protect the oils from oxidizing, knowing timing was key to getting the full benefits. Months later, her eye scans showed stabilization and even slight improvement in retinal thickness and contrast sensitivity. She still does crosswords by the window, but now, with a quiet confidence she thought she had lost. In today's America, where vision defines everything from independence to simple joys, small habits like this can truly change the course of aging. And sometimes, the first step to saving your sight comes not from a prescription, but from your kitchen counter. If you've ever left an eye appointment with more questions than answers, you're not alone, especially here in America, where most seniors are handed a prescription before a conversation. The healthcare system, especially in eye care, often leans heavily on medications, surgeries, or laser treatments as the first line of defense. And while these tools have their place, very few doctors pause to ask, what's actually going into your body every day that's helping or hurting your eyes? It's not because they don't care. It's because most medical training in the US still spends very little time on nutrition, especially when it comes to preventative care for aging eyes. Nutrients like omega-3 fatty acids, lignans, and natural antioxidants from seeds and plants are rarely mentioned in the exam room. But for your retina, the part of your eye that turns light into vision, these nutrients are as essential as oxygen. Think of it this way. Prescription drugs can treat symptoms, but the food on your plate, especially the right kinds of seeds, can restore function at the root. When you combine 7 specific types of seeds, each one brings a different benefit. One may reduce inflammation, another improves blood flow, while a third supports the optic nerve. The real magic happens when these seeds work together, creating a synergistic effect that no single supplement or pill can match. But most doctors don't have time to explain that during a 15-minute visit. And in a fast-paced American healthcare system, the conversation often ends with, "Come back in 6 months." That's why it's so important to become your own best advocate, because your everyday choices matter more than you think. Take Margaret from Ohio, for example. She didn't wait for another diagnosis. She started learning, experimenting, and adding seeds to her breakfast every morning. 6 months later, her vision had stabilized, and she felt more in control, not just of her health, but her life. Here in the US, where independence is so deeply tied to sight, natural solutions deserve a seat at the table. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come from more appointments. It comes from what you reach for in your kitchen each morning. If the idea of adding 7 new seeds to your routine sounds overwhelming, don't worry, you don't have to change everything overnight. In fact, some of the most lasting habits start small, with just 1 or 2 easy additions that fit naturally into your day. That's how real progress begins, not with a strict plan, but with simple choices you can feel good about. In the mornings, you might try sprinkling ground sesame and flax seeds into your oatmeal or yogurt. These two are rich in zinc, lignans, and omega-3s, perfect for supporting eye health before your day even starts. At lunchtime, a light salad or soup can be the perfect place to add hemp seeds and soaked fenugreek, giving you plant-based fats and blood sugar support. By evening, try a soothing smoothie or warm tea with chia gel and a spoonful of sunflower seeds for a natural antioxidant boost. You don't need fancy equipment or hours in the kitchen. Just a simple coffee grinder to prepare fresh flax or sesame each day, and a few airtight jars for easy storage. Keep your seeds in a cool, dark cabinet, or even better, in the fridge, to protect their oils from oxidizing. Some folks in Michigan and Colorado have even made what they call a seed blend jar, a mix of all 7 seeds, pre-measured and ready to scoop. It's like having a little pharmacy of eye health sitting right on your counter, but without the side effects. In today's busy American lifestyle, especially after 60, simplicity makes all the difference. And when your vision is on the line, even the smallest step forward can help you see life more clearly, one spoonful at a time. Think about it for a moment. Your eyes have been with you through every season of life. They've watched your children grow, read love letters and recipes, and soaked in sunsets over the mountains of Colorado or the shores of Cape Cod. Every memory, every moment, every mile, you've seen it all through those 2 windows to the world. But like any part of the body, your eyes need care. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And the beauty is, just a small shift today, a sprinkle of seeds, a morning ritual, can help protect your vision for years to come. So here's the question I'd love for you to consider. Which seed will you start with? Will it be flax, chia, sesame, or maybe the one that speaks most to your story and your needs? I'd be honored if you shared your experience in the comments. Tell me what you've tried, what's helped, and how you're taking care of your sight, one day at a time. And above all, remember this: your body is always listening. And when you treat it with kindness and intention, it responds. Because healing doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be consistent.